Welcome everybody back to How Fast Will It Go, and today we're dealing with the 1988 BMW M5. Now this has 1,212 horsepower, 831 pounds-feet of torque from a 5.7 litre twin turbocharged V10 engine. The car itself now weighs 2,788 pounds, has all-wheel drive, and it can only 0 to 60 in 2.154 seconds and 0 to 104.412 seconds. So yeah, obviously this is quite an old saloon car, but it was hardly a slow car even in its original form. It was, well capable of doing 150 miles an hour, had nearly 300 horsepower and all that lot, but obviously we're dealing with a lot more in the way of power, a lot more in the way of acceleration, and yeah, hopefully more in the way of speed as well. But yeah, being an older car, it's going to have a more rudimentary gearbox, meaning that the top end is not going to be limited by anything else. So yeah, let's get out there and see what it can do. Unfortunately, it did start raining a little bit before we started, but yeah, it should not harm us too badly. So there is 200, 210. 230, 240. If this can meet the McLaren from the previous episode, that'll be a good standing. So that's 255. And we slightly clipped a Subaru there, unfortunately. $259, well close to the McLaren from the previous episode, only by a mile an hour off. I don't think this has... yeah, it does actually. It has slightly more in the way of torque, so I'm not sure why it was struggling at the top end. Maybe the aerodynamics on this aren't anywhere near as good as the McLaren, which I guess is no surprise, given how much older this is. This is 30 years older than that McLaren, so it's no surprise that the aerodynamics aren't quite as good. Might well be what's holding it back, because it does have more in the way of horsepower and torque, and yeah, it does weigh a little bit more, but hardly a drastic amount. So yeah, it might well just be the aerodynamics that are holding this back, which would be a shame, because I do actually quite like the way this car looks. It's easily one of my favourite looking BMWs out there, so yeah, let's see if we can do any better on this side of the motorway, which we're not going to do if we're going to slam into the back of a Subaru. I think Subarus have it in for me today. For some reason we just do not have the kind of acceleration you'd expect for a car with more than 1200 horsepower, only just able to manage 250 there before having to brake for the corner. So yeah, this has been a little bit disappointing. Definitely feels like it can go faster than 259 and more than 1200 horsepower and less than 2800 pounds in weight. You would expect it to be able to fly, but for whatever reason something is holding it back. Be it the aerodynamics, maybe the gearing isn't quite right, I'm not sure, but oh dear, that's off the inside of the tunnel wall there. But yeah, for whatever reason it's just not able to push past a high rate of speed all that well. Handles reasonably fine for such an old car, but yeah, once it gets past 230, 240 miles an hour, it just seems to slow it right the way down, which is a big shame. But yeah, 259 mile an hour there is still reasonable for a car of this age, and it's still far faster than some more modern vehicles. So yeah, 259 means that we match the likes of a Porsche 911 GT3 from 2004. We are actually the only second vehicle now with that Porsche to hit 259. Everything else is slower than us, so a Holden VL Commodore from the same year is slower than us at 258, as well as an Aston Martin DB10, Lexus RCF, Chevrolet Corvette ZR1, Spania GTA Spano, a Polo Intenza Emozioni, and the likes of a Ferrari GTC4 Lusso and other modern vehicles like an Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, Saleen S5S Raptor and an Aston Martin Vantage. We are slightly behind the McLaren 720S from the previous episode, of course, as well as a Ford Mustang GT Liberty Design, Lamborghini Huracan Performante, ATS GT and a Mercedes AMG GTR. So yeah, would I like this to be quicker, given, you know, generally older cars have very little in the way of limits in terms of their gearing and the power that they can put through that gearbox, but sadly, for whatever reason, this just wasn't able to make the most of its high rate of horsepower and lack of weight. But for whatever reason, it's still a reasonable car, and yeah, for something that's, you know, more than 30 years old, it still put up a good fight. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.